ਹੁਣ मैं बेनती करूंगा साडे बहुत ही दूसरे अजीज दोस्त ने डॉक्टर खुशविंदर कुमार जी, जिन्हां ने लुधियाने दे साडे ने विच कैरियर उन्होंने शुरू किया, गुरु सर सुधार भी पढ़ाया, BCM कॉलेज लुधियाना के प्रिंसिपल भी रहे, अजकल मुल्तानी मल मोदी कॉलेज पटियाला के प्रिंसिपल है। जिस तरह धर्मेंद्र उब्बा जी एक्टिव ने, और मैं समझदा कि इन्हां दा परिवार ही सारा एक्टिव उब्बा जी का, और परिवार के सारे मैंबर ही वीडियो बना के, चाहे इन्हां दी पत्नी है, चाहे इन्हां दी बेटी है, चाहे इन्हां दे पिता जी है प्रोफैसर अचरू सिंह जी, हर रोज तुसीं देखने हैं कोई 6वीं जमात लई अंग्रेजी लई वीडियो बना रहा, कोई 7वीं जमात लई, कोई 11वीं जमात लई, कोई कॉलेज लई। सो इन्हां दा काम जिहड़ा है बहुत विशाल है, और असल सेवा एजुकेशन दी यही है। डॉक्टर खुशविंदर कुमार जी का भी बहुत कम है एजुकेशन के फील्ड दे विच, रिसर्च भी बहुत करवाई है, और डाउन टू अर्थ ने एजुकेशन के बारे सोचने वाले व्यक्ति है। मैं हुण उन्हां नूं बेनती करूंगा, ज्यादा समा ना लैंदा होया, डॉक्टर खुशविंदर जी, ओवर टू यू सर। अनम्यूट कर लो सर। यस, ओके।
Thank you very much, Pala Saab, and all the delegates. Very good evening. First of all, I'm trying to coming out of the very emotive deliberation given by Ubba Saab. My topic of today's deliberation is discovering meaning of life for self through education. The pertinent question is education for life, or life for education, or life for life itself. Before being certain about the type of education for life, we need to discover meaning of life. We need to associate a meaning to our life, to our own life. But it cannot be, this meaning cannot be borrowed. And if we try, we may be trapped. We may be trapped by the traditions, by the values, by the ethos, by the orthodoxism, by the market forces, by the corporatization, so on and so on and so on. So friends, let's try to understand the process of discovering the meaning of life through the lens of those who try to discover it for themselves and then propagate it or promote it for the society. My deliberation will be in two parts. Firstly, I'm taking some examples of some persons that how and what meaning they associated with their own life. I'm highly impressed by APJ Abdul Kalam, our former president. So I'm starting with that. The man who gave the idea dream, think, the slogan dream, think, and act. And he acted upon himself. APJ Abdul Kalam dreamt of flying for himself when he was in his elementary class, and on one moment when his elementary teacher get him to the site of a seashore to observe the rotation and the angles of the body and the wings of the flying creatures. That was the day when APJ Abdul Kalam dreamt of being in the flying profession. Secondly, think. He think of the hardships, overcome the hardships, sitting in one corner of our country in the coastal area of Rameshwaram. He think of joining the technical line, engineering. He did hard work for that. He have to sold certain ornaments of his family, but after that he came to know, and he started spending upon 14 to 16 hours continuously in the lab of engineering college to earn scholarship for himself to reserve his worth for the second year in the engineering course. When he reached the stage of acting or doing something for the society, I am reminded of the time when he acted by submitting a proposal of integrated missile program for Government of India, when he was just supposed to submit a program for developing a single missile. He acted by interacting with students and infusing confidence among them. As president, the post which is supposed to be the rubber stamp in our society and in our country. He acted by giving the development route to India in the form of Vision India 2020, which was published in 1998, and the perception about the population in the format of Target 3 billion, which was published in 2011. I'm forced to share one anecdote. When on one day, he, along with his guru Vikram Sarabhai of ISRO and of Vikram Sarabhai Research Center, when they were searching about the site for PSLV, launch vehicle, satellite launch vehicle, APJ Abdul Kalam visited to happen a site which has been occupied by a church. He discussed with Sarabhai and they visited and talked with Father Prera and discussed their aim and their problem. Father Prera called them on the Sunday prayer, and while they were present, Father Prera addressed his audience that, dear disciples, there are two scientists who are amongst us, and I think both of them are doing the service for humanity through science, and we are doing the service of humanity through religion, so our goal is same. And they need my home and the adobe of God for their experiment and for their work. Should I give it? All the audience raise their hands, and the PSLV is situated over there where one time there was a worship place. While talking of education, now APJ Abdul Kalam was of the opinion that students need to be developed as the autonomous learners. I'm pertinently now I'm touching education. About education, he said that he was of the opinion that we should impart with a view education, we should impart education with a view to the type of society that we wish to build and live in. And he say the real education enhances the dignity of human being and increases his or her self-respect. And I hope the idea of his life and the life or society which he think, dream, think, and act. Though APJ Abdul Kalam had not established or built any institution, but I'm of firm opinion that he infused an institute in the minds of millions of students, the Institute of Hope, the Institute of Passion, the Institute of Commitment, and the Institute of Devotion. So I hope we have to discover a meaning of life for such persons. Secondly, I'll be reminding you of Mahatma Gandhi. His experiments with truth, the truth of slavery, the truth of discrimination, the truth of violence, the truth of suppression, even the truth of values and ethos. He had mentioned a lot of experiments by doing on his own body. He experimented the truth of life through his daily life programs. And after that, he propagated the basic education, the concept of basic education in the form of Varda scheme of basic education, which was propagated in 1937. Now, keep in mind that these things are conceptual. It belonged to that era. And the two resolutions by Varda Conference was nationwide provision of free and compulsory education. And secondly, the mother tongue should be the medium of instruction. So in a nutshell, the meaning of life associated with his life and with the life of society by Mahatma Gandhi was truth, non-violence, equality, and independence. We have to, or he struggled to find the meaning and the education to sustain and support that. Thirdly, I would like to refer B.R. Ambedkar. His vision of federal structure of constitution and the fundamental rights, ensuring equality and justice for all, ensuring inclusion of marginalized. Our society has so much diversity. Marginalized categories are in abundance, which we witnessed in the last few months also. It was his vision that tried to give the equality or inclusion to all those marginalized societies which exist in India and maybe through globally also, but their existence in India is in abundance. Next, I will like to remind of Swami Vivekanand, who, while discovering self, he reached Swami Paramahansa. And he was of the opinion that believing others is easy, but believing in yourself, that is the real challenge. And you can't believe in God unless you believe in yourself. So dear friends, perhaps today again is the time when our youth is losing our belief in self. We have to infuse that. And it was only this belief that fixed a slot for Swami Vivekanand in the World Religious Conference at Chicago in 1899, when he was not having even a single referral letter and he was not invited delegate over there. Talking of education, he was of the opinion that education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. Ubbasav had already mentioned it. So we have to infuse that faith in our youth, that they just have to make their self perfect what already has been manifested in themselves. Our powers are within you and you can do anything and everything. While experimenting with these things, Swami Vivekanand made his philosophy that living and promoting life through Vedas and Karma Yoga was his crux. And his education and life propagated these things. At last, I'll be taking something from Guru Nanak, though Guru Nanak Dev Ji, it has been said that his philosophy is basically about the general philosophy of life. Being a student of math, I would like to say that his philosophy about education is corollary of his philosophy for life. And his philosophy for life is nobility of heart and mind, love of great and good, hearty acceptance of duty, strenuous honest labor, earnest longing for truth, and appreciation and development of higher values of life. Very wonderful line, Jo Brahmanda Soi Pinde, Jo Khoje So Pave, though it has been said by Bhagat Pipa ji, but I think it is one best thing which our students can learn, that if we are seeker throughout the life, we will be able to find the solution of any and every problem. The philosophy for life and education which Guru Nanak Dev Ji preached is Kirt Karo, Naam Japo, Van Shako. I'm translating: strenuous, honest labor, remembering thy name, and sharing pleasures of life. So, dear friends, when somebody tread the path of discovering the meaning of life for himself and for his society, most of such people get disillusioned or disappointed with the education system. I'm not talking only about the education system in India, rather throughout the globe. I would like to give 2-3 examples. You all well know about Steve Jobs. I'm talking those successful persons who was alienated from the education system. Steve Jobs was dropped out from Reed College, and Bill Gates of Microsoft was dropped out from the Harvard, and his co-founder of Microsoft was dropped out. Pal Allen was dropped out from Washington University. Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook fame was the dropout from Harvard University. So, dear friends, when you will be trying to treat the path of discovering life for yourself and meaning of life yourself, you may be putting yourself to the risk of dropping out of or revolting against the existing systems, because they confine us within the boundaries or limits. I'll be taking some more minutes on the second part. Now I'm talking about those institutions which the persons, after discovering the meaning and philosophy for life, they try to establish certain institutions. I will like to give 3 examples of those institutions, though who incubated, envisioned about a century back, but they are doing very successfully even in these days. Firstly, I would love to talk about the Rishi Valley School of Andhra Pradesh, and it was established in 1928 by J. Krishnamurti, known as the revolutionary teacher. Though by profession he was never a teacher, but he was a thinker, and he thought of the alternative Indian education system, and on the basis of this concept, he envisioned this Rishi Valley School. Uh, and as per Krishnamurti, right education is not an attempt to provide temporary solutions to society's problems. I emphasize here. We are perhaps doing this mistake. If it is pandemic, we are reflecting to this. If it is, say, unemployment, we are reflecting to only unemployment. If there is IT era, we simply rush to IT era. If there is artificial intelligence, everybody is rushing towards artificial intelligence. So Krishnamurti in 1920s said that temporary solutions of the society should not be the aim of education. His vision was of a good society, and his good society was grounded in the right values and the right relationships, as already has been discussed by Dr. Uba also, right values and right relations. So his good society, when he practiced in the form of his school or his institute, it is a self-reliant type of school where the students are self-reliant and self-sufficient. Second example I would like to share of the Banasthali Vidyapith, which at present is university, though it was started with 13 girls as a school in 1924 by Hiralal Shastri. Banasthali aims at the vision of Hiralal was synthesizing the spiritual values and the scientific achievements of both by East and West. Means nothing is taboo as far as the idea, achievement, or progress is concerned, whether it is from the East or from the West. From wherever it is come, if it is best, we have to own, we have to adopt. And his about education, he was of the opinion that all-round harmonious development of personality is required. And at that time, he envisioned in the name of Panchamukhi Siksha. And his vision was, his institutional ethos or vision is ethos of nation building and Indian culture and Panchamukhi Siksha. Panchamukhi Siksha is based on the 5 developments of the personality: physical, practical, moral, intellectual, and aesthetic. Very beautifully, he have given all the 3 domains given by Benjamin in the taxonomy of learning. He has say about the taxonomy has about 40 components, which he has taken just in the 5. At last, I'll be sharing the example of from our own state, that is Punjab, Baba Aya Singh Riyarki College, Gurdaspur. This college was envisioned in 1912 with just a dozen of girls, and aim of this institute is providing affordable education at present. This university, it is again university, it is a college at present, providing affordable higher education to rural girls. And vision of Baba Aya Singh was emancipating and empowering women, particularly rural women, through education. It is a wonderful example. Even at present, this institute is charging 6,000 per annum for tuition fee, boarding, and lodging. I repeat, 6,000 per annum from the students. But the model is really wonderful. The inmates, the girls, are doing all household chores on their own, cooking, catering duties by students, and 9 acres of agricultural land is used beautifully for meeting their own in-house all the needs, and cattle farm is feeding their own needs. A biogas plant is also there. It is a wonderful example of democratic setup. A team of 16 members of students has been constituted as the managing committee. They are planning, they are taking decisions, and they are executing the decisions. And this 16-member student team is based on the rotation. So dear friends, when we treat the path of finding the meaning for our life, we in these days, there is ultimately, I'm not sure what meaning you are going to associate with your life, because in the beginning, in the opening dialogue, I say, if you try to borrow the meaning, you may be trapped. I wish my youth to be trapped. I wish my youth to find the meaning or associate the meaning with their life, and then find or opt for that type of education or the practices which are catering to that. For me, one of the aim of life or meaning of life is the contentment and happiness. But very disturbingly, even these days, GDH, gross domestic happiness ranking, has been started. I am of firm opinion that whenever there is certain ranking, a mad race for those ranks had been started. And particularly when it is contentment, there cannot be any race. When there is happiness, there cannot be any happiness. Of course, it cannot be denied that we need certain predictors to observe the happiness. But once again, the parameters for every society may differ. And parameters of happiness may differ from the person to person also. But even then, if I have to reflect on these parameters, for last, this concept was envisioned in 2011. And in 2013, the first list of gross domestic happiness was released. And this year, list of 2020 had been released. And very disturbingly, this time, the list includes certain cities. I think it is quite narrowing down the idea. How some city, and the only city from India has been chosen as Delhi. And everybody know the most unhappy, if we can, just by observation say, is the Delhi in India. Though even then, if I have to reflect on those countries who are sitting at the top in the last 10 years, being the Scandinavian countries, Finland, Norway, um, Finland, Norway, Denmark, Switzerland, etc. The common factor between all these is the social support, generosity or charity, and freedom to make life choices. These are on top ranking when we talk of the parameters. But I'm really astonished. The nation, India, and particularly where we are sitting, Punjab, where the concept of life is chardi kala, high spirit. Why the youth of my state is not in chardi kala? Why they are in pensive mood? Why they are in gloomy mood? Because perhaps we failed on two accounts. Neither we helped them find life for themselves, nor we were able to give them a proper, a self-sustaining, a self-reliant, a self-respectful education from which they can draw the meaning for life. In just last two lines, I'm coming to those challenges which are before our youth. We usually are tuned, or it is a fashion to find or talk every time what the problems are in these days. Bhalla sahab, it's a good idea that you started these type of dialogues during this pandemic and the lockdown, because to boost our mental health, it is a good idea. But I hadn't talked even a single talk of pandemic, because if any person have certain meaning associated with his or her life, with his or her profession, then he will not be disturbed by pandemic. If you go through the history, it is repeated almost in once in every century. So the problems at present, which has been discussed repeatedly before our youth, are addiction, goallessness, social inequality, gender, caste, or religion-based atrocities, unemployment, alienation, depression, and ultimately leading to the suicidal tendencies. So once I say, perhaps we need not to give solution to these. Obviously, governments have to think. Governments have to think of the temporary solutions to the temporary problems. But the permanent solution is the life itself and the education that is capable of sustaining that life. I would like to conclude my deliberation with a Hindi couplet by a famous poet Kumar. What type of education we are giving, and it is totally in context of education and how the students are feeling with this type of education. सुबह का मारा हुआ, शामों का तड़पाया हुआ, हर शख्स है तेरे दर की ठोकरें खाया हुआ. I'm talking of life and education. सुबह का मारा हुआ, शामों का तड़पाया हुआ, हर शख्स है तेरे दर की ठोकरें खाया हुआ. क्यों ना हस्ती की कलाई को घुटन महसूस हो, सभी की हस्ती को लाइफ और एजुकेशन की घुटन महसूस हो रही है. क्यों ना हस्ती की कलाई को घुटन महसूस हो, खींच कर हमने है इसको वक्त पहनाया हुआ. आई होप कि हम हमारे स्टूडेंट्स को, हमारी सोसाइटी को, हमारी यूथ को, हमारी ह्यूमैनिटी को खींच कर ये पहरन नहीं पहनाएंगे एजुकेशन का और लाइफ का. Or coming when it is of the practicalities, I simply discussed all those philosophies which may lead us to find the solutions or the methodologies or the pedagogies or while developing the curriculums. So no single curriculum. The major drawback at present, if I have to reflect on our education system, that we try to fit all students in a single square, and we provide is the most draconian blunder of our education system. But I'm very hopeful that these of our discussions will be leading at least us who think about education, and we will be able to give certain solutions for at least ourselves, for our students, and for our society also. Thank you very much, Palasab, for providing this platform to our society, not only we people. Thank you very much.